You are now live. Hi everybody, welcome to Restaurant Live, and today we have a great guest. I'm always worried that I'm sitting here literally on my own. My wife's over there just in case everything goes completely wrong, but I have a great guest. Tom Aikens is coming on today, and I'm just waiting for him to press his button and join in, which is always the nervous bit. But in the meantime, hope everyone's well. The weather is surprisingly wonderful here at the moment, isn't it, in the UK, and from wherever you're joining, I hope the weather's as nice as it is over here. The weather, I mean, I'm looking out there. I always feel that we're very fortunate here to have a lovely garden. But Rich, how you doing? I've seen that you've joined. All I'm waiting for is your boss actually to come on. So Tom, if you're there, just press the button so I know what's going on. I'll have a glass of champagne while we're waiting. And yeah, this Restaurant Live series, we've got some amazing people lined up. Next week we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have a great chat, Robert and Jeff. I'm halfway through delivering today's meal. Well done, Richard. You're doing a great job with the NHS and your delivery service. It's fantastic. So next week we have three hospitality names. One is hi Joe. We'll get Joe on at some point. That'll be fun. Joe Elvin. One is we have Jodie Kidd on Monday. We have John Williams, most amazing chef, executive head chef at the Ritz, on Tuesday, and we have Jason Atherton on Wednesday. So that one is a great week. All I'm waiting for, Joe Elvin, you know how difficult this is for me, is for Tom Aikens to join my Insta Live. And once we have him on, we can start to go through some of the great questions I've got for him. But we have, as I said, some really interesting people lined up, ready to go on this lovely series. And I'm getting some great messages as well at the same time. So I will just have a little chat about the restaurant sector and where we are with everything while we wait for my guy to join. Do you want to make sure Donnie's going to just come over and just double check how it's all working, because nobody's
I want to make sure he's not actually just waiting. Let's have a look.
Let's have a look.
He's not there. No, he's not there. We just need to wait.
Okay, we need to wait. So it's Donna's birthday tomorrow, and we've just had the most amazing, wonderful flowers from Arena Flowers just arrive. And so she's now very happy sorting out all her flowers. I'm very happy I will be very happy as soon as he comes on. But as I said, we've got some really interesting people. What I do have for you, and I will mention this again, is on the 15th of June, one of my dear friends, but pretty much the best chef, I think the best chef, one of the best chefs in the world, and I think our fellow chefs would probably agree, Thomas Keller's coming on. He'll be on at 6 o'clock in the evening, as he lives in Napa, California, with the French Laundry. He's coming on to talk about young chef, young waiter. Hi Claude Bose has joined. Yes, we're still waiting for Tom. He's joined, and we are talking today. The main reason we're getting these guys on is to talk about Young Chef, Young Waiter, which is a competition that I run and look after, and this competition was launched just a week ago, and it's about looking after all of the young chefs and young waiters in the country.
Tom's coming out.
Is he?
Coming out. I had an issue with one of his kids.
Okay, Tom is just coming. Okay.
There's his first mistake, having kids. Here we go.
What was?
Is Wendy Miller. Here he is.
Hi, Wendy Miller.
Tom. Okay.
Hi, Wendy Miller. Tom Aikens.
He's there.
He's there. Well, Tom Aikens is now waving to me, which is really good.
Well, we can actually request him. Hold on.
Can we? So you've waved.
Why don't I go and ask him? Hold on.
Right.
Here he is. There you go.
I'm glad you've got it. My only worry is when you're not here.
Hello.
Here he is.
There he is.
Here he is.
Sorry about that.
Hi, darling.
How are you doing?
You were doing that on purpose, weren't you?
No, no. All
I
right.
was managing to waffle on for
I
about.
had kiddies running around and sort of trying to get them sort of
Quiet.
out. Yeah.
Well, we have the same problem, not with children, but we have chihuahuas everywhere.
Ah.
And whether anyone's listened to anything that I do, there's often a chihuahua heard in the background somewhere. But how are you, first of all?
Yeah, no, listen, I'm good. It's been sort of a very long time, sort of away from everything, that's for sure. But I would just say that the time that we've had has just flown by. I mean, it really has. I mean, when we think about, when we take a holiday or something for 2 weeks or a week or 3 weeks if we're lucky, it sort of goes sometimes very quickly or sometimes very slowly. But this is just feels like a weekend almost. I mean, I've never spent so much time sort of with the family, which has been very nice. Sometimes trying for those of you who've got kids and doing homeschooling as we are.
Yeah.
So that's almost a full-time occupation in itself. And I think I definitely now sort of have a more of a lenient soft spot for teachers in terms of what they have to do with their own schooling kids, because I tell you what, it's not easy. It definitely isn't.
No.
And then I've been doing, as you've seen, probably lots of cooking,
Yeah.
sort of lives and everything, and in terms of doing tutorials with lots of sourdough bread. And it's amazing to see sort of the whole of the UK have been taking rolling pins and flour to action. And it's quite unreal. I have a supplier that I use, Shipton Mill, which probably a lot of people in the sourdough world know very well. And he told me that they had literally in the sort of first few weeks of lockdown, they literally had like over 1 million sort of orders for flour. People, yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Amazing.
it's sort of insane. And it's funny because you never again sort of expect everyone to sort of get back to sort of domestic uses in their own home, which has been lovely to see. People taking up the challenge of home baking and everything.
Not sourdough. She said she thought you said sourdough bread. I think, but I think just doing that, she will love all that. Listen, look, it's great to have you on, and you're absolutely right. I mean, look, even I've been doing cooking online, Tom, and I've been amazed and delighted with the responses I've had from lots of people, and it's been great fun because the two things we miss, certainly in my world, is one, is eating food in different venues, and miss meeting you guys. So this has given me a twofold sort of route, really. One, we want to talk about Young Chef, Young Waiter. But two, it's really nice to see everyone again, even in sitting in my own home, and you're absolutely right. I've been here for 12 weeks now.
Yeah. Wow.
When you look back at 3 months, that has really flown by.
Yeah, I know it is. It's kind of scary. And I think with definitely with children, the time does go even quicker, I have to say, because juggling them and the sort of things that we have to try and keep them occupied is not easy. And then having to keep on top of work that I'm trying to do as well is even more of a challenge. But listen, it's what we do. We like to challenge ourselves as chefs, and so it's good to keep the balls juggling, as they say.
Well, I said that. I often say that in these. By the way, did you get your champagne? Have you got any champagne there with you? Well, I've got.
I haven't got mine. I haven't got mine as yet, but I'm definitely going to have some. Definitely have some later for sure.
They've got all out there. You have yours a bit later. I'm going to say.
Well, cheers, chin chin, as they say, chin chin. Absolutely. But thank you for sending that. It was very, very, very nice indeed.
Rodolphe and Louis send that over to you. So that's lovely. And enjoy. The weather's nice. We can sit in the garden and have a glass a bit later.
Yeah. Amazing weather that we're having as well in April. I mean, it's just unheard of this time. I actually, for the last sort of 6 weeks, I've been out of London because again, didn't really fancy it with the kids. I'm kind of sort of almost near a farm, and all the farmers are pulling their hair out because of the dry, the very, very dry land. We've not had any decent rain in months and months and months. So they're all sort of at the minute, I think, sort of really praying that we're going to get rain, because as we know, April is supposed to be the wet season.
get any
April showers and all, and I think we've only had like literally one inch.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's been a little bit sad for them, because, you know, we need, you know, desperately need water now. Last thing we would actually sort of be hoping for in this country is, you know, is rainwater.
Yeah, we're normally washed out most of the time. But probably suddenly July and August will be a complete wash, you know, when everyone's sort of trying to sort out everything else. Because obviously, whenever the children, you know, we are in unprecedented times. But it's brilliant to be able to see you. Brilliant to have you on. Thanks for coming on. And one of the main reasons that I wanted you to be on here is your support with the competition that we run, which is Young Chef, Young Chef, Young Waiter. For anyone out there who doesn't know, it's this year 41 years old. Some amazing chefs have come through the competition. People like Marcus Waring and Mark Sargent and Nathan Outlaw. You know, some amazing talent. And even I had Adam Hanley on a live on Wednesday, and I had no idea he was a finalist in 2011. You know,
oh, really? Wow.
So many people come through the system, and even if you haven't been through the system as in compete, you almost certainly at some point you've been judging it and everyone, because all the chefs over the years, 41 years, you've got everybody have been involved in it. And the very first speech I did, any Young Chef, Young Waiter, in the front row was Gordon Ramsay, was Heston, was, you know, all of the chefs that we all grew up to know. And now, you know, you're sort of in that middle range. You're certainly you're not the old school. You're right in that new dynamic group, which is now bringing and creating new venues. And so really pleased that we've got you involved again. The competition, Tom, we launched just a week or so ago, and all the application forms have been designed to go out through restaurants independently. So not only does it go out through UKH, the UK Hospitality and Restaurant Association, also goes out. We specifically send them out individually as well to restaurants and to restaurateurs. And so both the waiters and the chefs can join. And right now, you know, like you, like me, like all of us, we're sitting at home or sitting somewhere. We're certainly in restaurants cooking, unless we're doing a few, you know, initiatives and new ideas. But this is a perfect time. It's online. All the applications are online. All of the judging is online until you get to the very final bit. So there has never been a better time to join in this competition.
Yeah, totally. No, I think, listen, I think it's always, you know, with these competitions, it's always great to welcome, you know, new talent that we're very fortunate to have in this country, because I think the level, as we know, of restaurants over the last, you know, decade is slowly sort of, or say not slowly, but sort of rapidly getting more and more consistent, and the quality across food and service has really raised the bar considerably. And I think more and more that the restaurants outside of the capital as well have really raised their game as well. You know, you see more and more amazing restaurants that are opening up and are being, you know, really rewarded well for the amazing food and service that they're doing. And I think the young chef, young waiter really highlights that, I think, in terms of giving
Tom,
there we go.
sorry.
That's all right.
Did I lose you? Did I
lost
disappear?
me. You lost me in cyberspace.
Somebody was trying to call, and I was trying to press everything.
All right.
Anyway,
right.
but
as I was saying, I think, you know, it's great to have, you know, something like the Young Chef, Young Waiter that really recognizes, you know, true talent, and I think for them as well, to give them, you know, the confidence as well to show off how good they are, because as I said, you know, we've really got an amazing amount of talent in this country, you know, from obviously very young upwards, and it's great to have competitions like this where they can really sort of shine and show their, you know, show their skills for the chefs and the young waiters. And I think, you know, with what skills that, you know, us chefs as judges have, and being able to see them cook so confidently as well is really encouraging. You know, because it's always quite scary, you know, when you got, you know, quite a group of quite mature judges who are well recognized in the industry, sort of breathing down the back of your necks is never easy, that's for sure.
Cannot be easy. And you know, the other thing about this, of course, is that it's just as important with the waiters now, because of course you highlighted it, that the UK as a whole is a great location globally for eating, whether you're from the top to the bottom, from the east to west.
Totally.
But without the fantastic service and the waiters and the waitresses that we have, you know, they are the key now to making sure that you're the guys in the kitchen, you produce great food, then it's got to be served perfectly with the knowledge and everything else, and that service is the key, because with that being bang on, we know the story that the service can damage the best meal, but it can probably cover up a mediocre meal. You know, that's the key. We'd like to think all the meals are fantastic, of course, but you know, the other thing, Tom, just on Young Chef, Young Waiter, of course, our winner, Rich Henderson, who I interviewed, and is now going to become, each one of these winners are going to be ambassadors going forward. We've invited the winners, both the winners of last year, to be judges as well. So because we want that young element, this is not about all old school. This is about making sure we have the young dynamic stars of tomorrow looking at our applicants and our young chef and waiters this year. But then, of course, Rich then came to work with you.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, no, it was very very wonderful. Sort of, you know, a finish to his sort of puzzle, as you like. And I think, you know, it just goes to show that, you know, when you have you know, a bright student or a bright star like him, that, you know, that he lands on his feet in a good place to work. And as I said, I think that's really what the young chef, young waiter can do in terms of nourishing and progressing, you know, careers with young chefs into making them, you know, the future stars of the next day and the next decade or tomorrow. And I think it just goes to show. And I'm a bit of a sort of prehistoric dinosaur, but my sort of old sort of hat in terms of drive and determination is, you know, if you work hard, you know, you'll eventually get somewhere. And Richard is definitely one of those people. You know, he's very driven, he's very focused, you know, and he's a great asset to our team at Muse. And it's been really nice sort of seeing him flourish as well.
Well, and he's doing a lot, as we all are, within the hospitality sector. And again, I liked, we talked earlier on about, I used the title. We've got one of the kids. Hi, how are you?
This is Josie. This is one of the kiddies that we were trying to control earlier.
Hi, Josie. You can stay there. You can listen to your dad. And it's about how one improvises, adapts, and overcomes. We're a passionate bunch of people. We're a hard-working bunch of people, and I love the way that a lot of our chefs have been assisting. Rich is on Food for Heroes. He's really helping out with them. And now my chihuahuas don't do that.
She's doing my hair. So, you know, it's one of these things that happens. Okay, sweetie, come on.
And so tell us a bit about, have you been involved with any sort of initiatives well with the NHS or anything through this period, or how's it all been going?
Yeah, no, I've been doing sort of very, you know, quite a lot of sort of cook along things, and then basically the last sort of 3 weeks I've started an initiative with a charity called Only a Pavement Away, which is basically a charity that was set up to give, you know, homeless people, come on, sit. was to give homeless people, you know, a helping hand, you know, because in the
Brilliant.
And obviously, in the midst of all of this, they've seen a huge sort of, I guess, leap in, I'm afraid to say, more homeless people on the streets. And through this sort of working with them, we've created this 5-minute challenge, which is a lot of, as you've seen, for quite a lot of them have come on social media and things. But it's a very simple: cook a dish in 5 minutes, nominate 5 other chefs, and donate £5. So it's kind of like the triple five. And in a way, we're sort of highlighting, getting people that are homeless, either back into, hospitality, or at least getting them off the streets into, beneficial housing and things like this. So all the proceeds of that go towards to help the homeless. So I've been pushing, many chefs who have been sort of on my Insta feed now of doing the 5-minute challenge, and it's been very, very interesting, seeing the range of dishes, and also, the chefs that are taking part in it. So, I've been working, sort of in the background of doing that. And so far, we've managed to raise, I think, over £4,000. And then we've also been given a donation by the caterer.com to release sort of a recipe booklet as well. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking at doing, and who knows where it'll go in the future. But I think out of all of this, as I say to many people, no matter how negative it may be, there are always positives that come out of it. And I think it just goes always to show the resilience of of people, and in this country, how sometimes when we're at each other's necks a lot of the time, but when, pardon the pun, the shit hits the fan, people come together and help each other and really sort of stand up and be counted. And it's nice to see that carries on, and particularly in our industry, where you have seen so many people, so many chefs come through and help the NHS, and lots of other care workers and people that are in and helping the NHS and those that are in the time of need. All the hotels that have been offering bedrooms and giving daily breakfasts and coffees, and so it's really sort of heartfelt, and seeing the people in this country sort of coming out and the clapping. It's really, really, really nice to see that.
And I talk about we're passionate, we're hardworking, we're also very creative. This is our whole sector. This is what we do. We create, we come up with concepts within the restaurateur world, and you're absolutely right. When it's tough, when it gets a little tough, then the tough get going, as they say. But we will out fight and come out with new ideas. And there it is. Whether the term is the new norm, I'm not quite sure whether that's the right term yet, or what it is yet, because things move so quickly. But certainly it is. We're entering a slightly new way of living, I'm sure. But the most important thing is, obviously, we all want to get back at some point into the restaurants as we go forward. And I know your restaurant, and I know about you. From where you've come from, the Kaufmans and but what I didn't realize, actually, you worked at the Capitol. I didn't realize that at one point.
Yeah.
Capitol, of which I actually look after until this point, the Capitol Hotel, which has an amazing history, of course, with Richard Shepard and Turner and Gary Rhodes and all the people, and Taylor, of course. So, and then where did you get your 2 Michelin stars? Was that Pied à Terre? Was that
Pied à Terre? Yes, Pied à Terre back in the naughty 90s.
But what age were you then?
26.
I mean, 2 Michelin stars at 26 is pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, crazy times for many crazy reasons. But yeah, it was definitely, it's.
Will you have attributed that to, because this is a bit I really enjoy, because I've been to the restaurant, I know you, but I've never really managed. This is like the first time, because there's always something going on, and you don't get. You don't have time. Well, let's have a quick chat about the past.
Yeah.
But, so would it have been Kaufman? Would have been? I mean, we're talking about Tom Claire, weren't we? When you were there.
Yeah. So I had So when I came into London from leaving Norwich, where I was my hometown, Norwich City, studied there for 2 years, took my 706 1 and 2 City and Guilds, and then you know, I came to work in London a sort of year later. I went and worked at the hotel in Eastbourne. We had a restaurant called the Mirabelle. And then I wanted obviously to come and work in London. And this, you know, I'm talking of, God, 88, 89. So a long time ago, when there was only a handful of restaurants, you know, the likes of Nicola Dennis, the Roux Brothers, Hoffman, Marco Pierre White, and that was it. And so with the help of my father, you know, I sort of wrote off various letters, sort of, you know, 20 odd letters to hotels and restaurants, and asking, you know, for a position. And I thought, you know, I'm you know, super eager. I just left college. You know, I've got lots of other skills apart from, you know, experience. Driven, self-motivated, very eager. You know, eager to please. All of this. They're definitely going to want, you know, a student like me. And obviously no, because back then, you know, they really, all of the restaurants and hotels had waiting lists, you know, for chefs to come and work there. It was literally impossible. So I got all pretty much a blank load of no's. I got a letter from the Gavroche saying, you know, we have a waiting list of 3 years, you know, come back then when you've got more experience. And I'm like, well, scratch my head. How do I get more experience if you can't give me a job?
Yeah.
So I then had the bright idea, because I had saved up a bit of money, and I said, look, what about if I go and work somewhere, you know, for free for 6 months? So I discussed it with my father. And he said, yeah, you know, if you've got the money, then, you know, why not? So anyway, so I wrote off again, sort of 20 odd letters. And so I got 3 letters back. Again, one from the Gavroche, saying, look, you know, really lovely letter, but again, we can't let you jump to the front of the queue. It's just, you know, really not what we could do. Right. And then I got a response from David Cavalier, who had Cavaliers in Battersea, which was a 1-star. Not a lot of people will know that, but it was a long time ago.
He went to Escargot, didn't he? Didn't he?
That's right, yeah. So anyway, so David offered me a position, and I went and worked with him. So I worked for nothing for 6 months, and this was only to get into, you know, a sort of Michelin restaurant, because I thought once I'm in, then, you know, I'm in. And so after the 6 months, I said, so how did I fare? And yeah, he gave me a job after that, and sort of, you know, so I stayed with David for a year. And then, and after that year, I asked him, you know, I need and want to get to Pierre Kaufmann at the Tonnerre. I was then, whatever I was, or 21, or yeah, 21 I was. And anyway, so I then went, and I remember my interview with Pierre was, God, seriously nerve-wracking. I was like, my palms were like, you know, completely sort of sweating, and I was just like so nervous, you know, he's quite a formidable character, as you know, and particularly back then.
But at the time, you know, he was it. Really.
Yeah,
2 of them.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And anyway, so, you know, the interview went well. He offered me a job, and then I went, and it was, you know, it was an insane kitchen, you know, to be in. There was myself, and another chef, Paul Rhodes, you know, who were the English guys, and the others were all French, so who absolutely sort of hated us. Thought we couldn't cook, called us roast beef. I didn't actually speak to anyone for the first 3 months. And it was funny because Pierre could see that this was, you know, quite a fun thing, you know, the 2 Brits and the rest of the kitchen. So he would pretty much always sort of take us under his wing and sort of, you know, give us, you know, a coffee in the morning and an occasional croissant, you know, just to rub up the other guys in the kitchen. So it was, you know, that was quite fun. And then when we were there, actually the restaurant went from 2 to 3. So, you know, we had some amazing chefs, you know, in the kitchen in that time that I sort of went through. There was myself, there was Tom Kitchen, there's Eric Chavot, there was Paul Rhodes, there was, who else came? Helena Polakov, she was there. And God, there was another couple of others. Yeah, so it was almost like the Galactico of chefs, you know, in their early stages of career. So it was a formidable team, and to be there, you know, when that restaurant went from 2 to 3 stars was, you know, was amazing.
In those days, I mean, we're talking of the early 90s. Are we? Where are we?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're 92. Yeah.
And the location, just for everyone, I always I get caught into but everyone out there does not know, but which is the old Hospital Road. It's Gordon Ramsay Hospital
Yeah,
Road.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah,
This building, and so which is, and with Claire and Gordon, I mean, they've had 3 Michelin forever. But in those days, I mean, I'm trying to think maybe the Waterside. I mean, I'm trying to think of the other restaurants.
Well, there was the Waterside. You had the Waterside and the Gavroche, and that was it. So there was only the 3 stars. That was it. And then Marco obviously had his for a short, very short, short period later on. But then I had did my time there for for a full year. I then left there. I went to work at the Capitol Hotel for shorts of time, like 9 months, and then I went to work with Richard Neat at Pied-à-Terre. And Richard, he's an amazing, talented chef, that's for sure. A little bit mad at times, that's for sure. It wasn't, I would say, the most easiest of kitchens, to work in. Quite a few expletives were thrown around the kitchen many times, that's for sure.
But we're talking, you are now 25 or so years ago.
Yeah.
When it really pretty much was
boot camp.
Well, that was it. I mean, I mean, things have changed.
Yeah. God, well, thank God. Otherwise, otherwise, we wouldn't have any industry, I don't think.
But we've all come through whatever the reason was. So let's come right up to date. Let's come up to Muse now, which is the venture. So,
yeah.
Question.
So I had just to quickly go over. So I had just working with Richard was obviously exceptionally tough, but he was the one that got me a position at Joël Robuchon in Paris as well. So I went and worked with Joël Robuchon, which was amazing, which is an amazing time in my career. Absolutely loved Paris, but it was as you can imagine, one of the toughest kitchens that I have worked in. But the team were amazing. There's a really good camaraderie, and I was absolutely shit scared that the French there were going to be even worse than ones in Kaufman's kitchen, but they weren't. They were really nice and friendly and hospitable. So I got off lightly there. Anyway, so now obviously with Muse, it's we opened obviously in January, and we had literally 3 months and a little bit before we got hit by the COVID. So we had, thank God, all the reviews under our belts of the ones that were important, and we got I have to say, probably out of all the restaurants that I've opened and ran, I'd probably say the cleanest of sweeps of good reviews ever. So it was amazing to have all those. And I think it just comes, I think now when you are a little bit more mature, you kind of understand your own sort of food a lot more. It's like when I remember look back at Pied-à-Terre, when I was 26, and sort of seeing the food that I was doing then and now, it's obviously very, very different. And it's amazing that how your mind changes in a lot of things. And I think as a young man that I was totally, I guess, sort of wrapped in cooking rather than anything else. And now I'm a little bit more chill-headed and more relaxed, that's for sure. But Muse has been really sort of fun project, to get off the ground. I'd always been looking for something after Tom Aikens, and I wanted something that was a lot more sort of special and small and unique, rather than doing something that required a lot of staff to run like Tom Aikens did, and and working 6 days sometimes, or being open 6 days was tricky. And I kind of felt anyway it was coming to the end of its path, and my outlook was to find something much smaller, and in terms of finding something that I knew that was more manageable in running, but also for staff it wasn't so labor intensive for them as well, and you also have time to think about the next sort of generation of restaurant, of what it is going to be, because we've all seen the dramatic increase, as I said, in restaurants in London, but also the quality of them, from low, medium to high spend. You know, they're all producing amazing food, be it a burger or be it fine dining food. You know, the consistency across all restaurants in London, you know, is truly phenomenal. It really is. You know, you very rarely now go to a restaurant and have, you know, a bad meal or a bad takeaway. It's incredible. And so my only sort of pitch of thought to that was that when we go to restaurants, you know, we go and we have an amazing meal, we have great wine, we have great food and great service. What is it that really makes the customer come back? What is it that truly, apart from what we're already doing, all of us, giving good food and good wine and good service, what is it that makes us want to come back? And that is the conundrum for everyone, is like, what really makes a customer come back? And my whole thing was, I was really thinking about this, about what is sort of the magical ingredient that you need. And I was thinking, you know, of all the meals that I've had in London, and that's really when it sort of struck me, is that whenever we go out and eat, a lot of us, and I'm guilty of that as well, is that even if it was a, you know, a dinner or a lunch a week ago, I'm very bad at remembering, you know, what I ate, you know, what the menu looked like, and all of these things that sticks in the head as a memory. And I thought, well, that's the thing, you know, you have got to give people lots of memories to try and get them to remember that restaurant in a certain way. So I started sort of looking into this, and this is when I started creating, you know, the menu, and just in terms of the very simple, you know, 3 ingredients on the menu, and that was it, rather going into elaborate sort of description. And I got, you know, from the Daily Mail was the first thing that said, is this the most, you know, Ponce restaurant or whatever it was, I don't know, Pontius restaurant, you know, in the whole of the UK. And the thing is, at that moment, you know, people are inquisitive about, you know, what's being served there, you know, what are they doing, you know, and so that's already creating, you know, sort of mystery element as to what, you know, as to what is going on. And then, you know, and then the food element, you know, and the way that a menu is written as well. I just thought, you know, the way that we look at a menu is also, you know, quite sort of boring. You know, you have your starters and you have your main courses and you have your menu, reading menu. So I started looking at some, with my children, their pop-up books, and then thinking, how nice would that be to have, you know, a pop-up as, you know, as your menu. So that's why I did the pop-up of Muse, with a description of what, you know, of what Muse is, and then relating obviously all the dishes, you know, with a story as well. So it's a whole load of work, of course, to think about, you know, a particular dish that is, you know, that is recognized by, you know, a story from my childhood, or a supplier, or a funny story with, you know, with a chef that I worked with. So there's all these sort of little things that, you know, that now go through the course of, you know, of the meal. And as I put it, it's more like a journey or an experience that people really want, that, you know, to try and get them, as I said, to remember, you know, to remember all these things. And one of the funny ones that I put in was a dish that I've had on, you know, from Tom Aikens, and it's a langoustine dish. And as a child, we used to have this copper beech tree at the bottom of our garden. It was a huge, I mean, like really, really, really tall beech tree. And I was a bit of a daredevil as a kid. And I sort of set the task of climbing this copper beech tree that actually also overhung the motorway at the bottom of our garden. So it's quite a significant drop. And as I thought about, you know, when I did that, you know, quite nervous and, you know, quite scared and apprehensive, yet it was a challenge that I wanted, you know, to pursue and to get to the top. And in a way, it's, you know, referencing sort of what you do as a chef in terms of creativity and the menu change. You know, you want to do it. It's a challenge, and you're kind of almost sometimes apprehensive about giving people something new to try, because as chefs, you know, we may always be confident about the food that we're doing, but we're sometimes still shit scared about putting up a new dish that has never been tried or tested.
Well, you don't want to fall on the motorway, do you?
No, well, exactly, you don't. So I called this dish, you know, sort of conquering the beech tree, which was an element of that. So it kind of tells a tale of me as a kid, and referencing now as a chef as well, the similar sort of paths of that, of trying to get to the top and creating something that, you know, that is very special.
Do you know, it's fascinating. I mean, you know, as I said before, we don't get this time. I don't get this time with any chefs. I'm absolutely loving what I'm doing We've had Claude on, we've had Adam Handling on, we've got Jason on next week. We've got, you must watch, I've got Thomas Keller coming on June the 15th, and I know he's a great role model for you. He's a great mind. Is he number one? I don't know, but he's certainly up there, isn't he?
Yeah,
but
he definitely is.
His whole personality about it. But what I'm saying is that it wasn't much to talk about who else is coming on, although we've got some amazing chefs, and I love this because it's all about promoting the industry, our future talent. But it's also fascinating having the time, just a little bit of time to listen and hear about how you created Muse, for instance, you know, with all of the experience that you've had. And I suppose the big question for right now is that I've been to Muse. For those of you who haven't been to Muse, you know, it's a small restaurant.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Two kitchens on 2 floors. I mean, what is the plan of reopening? What are your thoughts? Where are you going? Are there any time scale? I mean, we know, I'm saying we as in the hospitality sector knows, and it's been announced that nothing's going to happen until at the very earliest July the 4th, but then that's outside, you know, we know tiny place. So what are your plans?
So, so basically, you know, as you quite rightly put it, none of us are any of the wiser until July the 4th. A lot of us have been looking at other parts of, you know, the world and Europe to see what they're doing, in essence of what could possibly work and definitely, you know, what isn't. And I think the whole of the hospitality industry does not want to open where there's, you know, 2-meter distance and everyone wearing plastic gloves and visors and masks, like, you know, some restaurants that you've seen probably in Amsterdam serving food in a greenhouse on a plank of wood. You know, I don't think any of us want to be in that position or to dine in that sort of feeling. So I think, you know, whatever Boris eventually says, you know, we have to make it work, because as we know, the rules of play are going to be very different for everyone, be it on a small scale or a large scale. You know, some of it's going to work and some of it is not going to work. And the thing with this is, you know, you can't do, you know, different rules for different places. It's just got to be one rule, and I'm afraid to say we're all going to have to accept it, whatever the outcome is. And I think, you know, whatever he does say, a lot of us will, you know, try and get the gates, you know, back open as soon as we can, but not under obviously a sort of a way that is going to make it, you know, a negative impact for restaurants to open. It's just not worth it. You know, from a customer and guest satisfaction point, you know, having them come in when we're all decked out in masks and gloves and visors is really, you know, not in anyone's interest at all. No. I think what I'm going to probably see is that will probably, you know, be in place for a little bit, you know, but it's quite bizarre when we've got, you know, as of this month, you know, all the non-essentials are reopening later this month as well. So, you know, if you're looking at people going to, you know, to shops, for instance, are we really thinking that there is a security guard that is going to keep these shoppers 2 meters apart? I don't think so. And are they all going to be wearing gloves and visors? I don't think so. So, you know, if it's going to be one rule for, you know, for others, like, you know, for shops and things, then why the hell should it be a different rule for those that are in, you know, working in kitchens and restaurants? So I just hope that there is a little bit of common sense, you know, that is going to be used there, because at the end of the day, it is businesses and people's lives and livelihood that we're talking about here. And as we know, the hospitality sector is, you know, is also a massive boost for the economy, also for tourism and everything, on every level. So it's going to affect hundreds of thousands of people across the whole of the country. So I just hope to hell that he gets it right, whatever he's going to say. A lot of restaurants, if you've seen, have started doing, you know, sort of takeaway and delivery.
They're really interesting.
And that might be something that we could be looking at. But again, it's not, you know, when you do these types of things, You know, it's not worth sort of putting all that effort in just to be a short haul plug. You know, because then if you're, you know, if you're then reopening sort of, you know, 4 or 5 weeks later, putting all that, you know, putting all that effort into it is not, you know, is not really worth it. So I think there are, you know, there are various options that we're, you know, that we're looking at. And I think, you know, for all of us, you know, it's a case of using the time wisely. And as I said to, you know, to all my staff, I said, look, although this is not very, although
you can see that somebody just said, I smiles at the Sunday. I also think people want luxury after months of eating their own basic.
Yeah, no, definitely no. But as I said to my staff, I said, look at the, you know, this is a negative that we're all having to close in the whole of London and the UK is closing down. But look at it as a positive, because you can reflect on, okay, in the years to come, that hopefully this will never happen again. But at the time that you had, 2 months and 10 weeks or whatever it is, use it wisely. Get yourself super fit. Read books. You know, learn a new craft. Learn a new skill. I don't know. You know, go and run a marathon, whatever it is. You know, you've got so much time on your hand to learn something else or to take up a sport, a hobby that you could never have done before, because you're going to have so much time on your hands. And there's no point sitting at home staring at all four walls saying, oh, I'm bored. You know,
well, that's one of the reasons, you know, you come back to, we sort of always, we've coming back to, and by the way, marathons, didn't you run 6 marathons in 6 days or something?
in 5 days, 5 days. Thank you.
I mean, what was that anyway? I won't go into that as another.
Yeah, Sahara Desert.
Yeah,
of course.
Okay. But you know, in a way, we've gone right round, which is brilliant. But you know, the whole ethos of Young Chef, Young Waiter was about engaging, but also engaging them right now, keeping them motivated, keeping them engaged, keeping them energetic, keeping them inspired with people like you.
Yeah.
To make sure, keeping them motivated, I think it's probably a really good word. To make sure, did you have to wear lots of sun cream? So when you were running in the Sahara, somebody said, did you have to wear a lot of sun cream?
Well, there was actually the bottle of sun cream that you only had to put on once. It's a very special factor.
Oh,
just put it on once, and you know, that's it.
We went down that route. We were going to get we were for another hour.
Sidetracking.
But it was and again, having you on with the knowledge you've now got in really quite a short space of, I mean, I'm a lot older than you, Tom, but in a short space of time, you know, you've now come through, you've got through those amazing establishments, and you now have a really bespoke, beautiful dining area, an experience, you know, when you come there.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely right. And when I'm listening to you, you've either got to do it or not do it. A bit of it. You know, some of the venues, I mean, there are so many different styles of restaurants and styles of food that we can eat. There's some we can do a bit of that, we can do a bit of that. Yours is really quite a unique operation, isn't it? Let's be quite honest. It's thing about it, the attention to detail on every cushion and every seat and every tiny bit of it. That, you know, somebody.
No, I mean, you know,
you've done brilliantly well.
It's the little, as we said, it's the little details, and you know, even when that restaurant was a really sort of, you know, battered old pizza parlor. The thing is, you know, when you walk into a building, you feel it. I mean, that's for me, you know, you get an instant boom, you know, it kind of hits you, regardless of what it looks like. And, you know, when you have that feeling, you got to go with it, man. And that's, you know, and I had looked at, I don't know how many other restaurants and spaces and whatever, but because I said I was looking for something, you know, that it was slightly quirky, slightly off the beaten track, something a little bit special. And we all know there is not the perfect site. It just doesn't exist, because for everyone, we're all trying to be perfectionists, and we know that perfection is different in everyone's eyes. But in trying to create something in terms of a building or getting the right building as perfect as you want, it just doesn't exist. So we have an amazing, as I said, an amazing looking and beautiful restaurant, but I tell you, the storage, we have 0 zip storage, you know, so it's a freaking, it's like Jenga or something, kaplunk, you know, you're like, you know, but as you said, it's you know, making something you know, that is very unique and very special. And that's why we went, you know, with a very different approach to the design element, because I just knew that if I just went with a normal restaurant designer, I'm going to get another restaurant that looks very similar to others. And that's why I went with a lady, you know, called Rebecca Corner, who's an interior designer for homes, because that's what Muse is. It's a home, it's a house, it's our family, it's, you know, it's where we all gel and work. And to have that feeling of going into a place which is like a home rather than a place for work is very, very different. It just makes your head feel nice, you know, when you go in, because you kind of feel at home, and you're at home. And you know,
it is, but it is. It would have been a house at some point. It was a house.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, it is the most beautiful location. By the way, I don't think I've ever seen so many chefs come up on a live, by the way. So there were chefs and chefs and chefs. And somebody there, Chef Woolley, who Steve said, we must all go down to Muse as soon as I said, well, we must go back there again. It's been brilliant, Tom. Tom, thanks for your time.
Absolute pleasure. It was great.
And thanks for being supportive of Young Chef, Young Waiter. That's the key to this. It's been great having a natter, having a chat, and
always
John Frey later in the evening sunshine.
Yeah. Well, I just want to finish, you know, thank you, Robert, really, for that. It's been great. And, you know, and what you're also doing, encouraging, you know, the young to get into the hospitality industry, you know, is amazing, because we need a lot more people like yourself that are passionate, driven and ambitious for people to get into this industry, because it is, and for all of you there that are still listening, and we haven't bored you to death, but it is, you know, but it is an amazing industry to come in. There are so many different avenues that you can go into, and I don't think there is any other industry that can creatively give so many people a different avenue to go into through creativity or through service. And I think it's one of the most amazing industries to be in. And for you youngsters out there who are sort of on the cusp of deciding of what you want to do with your careers, come and give us a go, because I can tell you it may be a challenge, but you will always have a lot of fun.
Brilliant. You are, look, it's a pleasure speaking with you. It's a pleasure always seeing you. You're an ambassador to the industry. It's a passionate led career, but it's a very satisfying career, isn't it? Whatever the high goes, ultimately, you know, it's a great, and you create these amazing experiences for people from whatever level that experience may be. You know, it's about coming out, having great fun, smiling, enjoying an evening out, and meeting the chef and meeting the waiters and just enjoying life. So, all right, it's been brilliant speaking to you. Thanks for the kids, they were brilliant.
Gel hair, yeah.
They'll be all over you later. Come on.
All right, take it easy. Thanks, Rob.
My 2 hours are away. Okay, brilliant.
Take it easy. Bye.
Bye-bye.